Okay, perfect. And we're recording now too. Whoa.
Whoa. You're a little limp there, Russell.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. That's perfect right there.
That's the best side of you.
Yeah.
Right. There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, he takes check as well.
Yeah.
That's a nice view out there. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right on. It's not that much past 3, and we've got a good amount of attendees. It's still increasing. Looks like we're almost to 50. So
Online.
I think we can roll with this. So I want to start. I'm Chris from the Paso Robles Wine Country Alliance, and we are the organization that represents and promotes the wine region of Paso, of course. PasoWine.com. You're probably already kind of aware of who we are because you're here. And you probably get our emails or you follow us on Instagram or Facebook. We are, during this crisis, just trying to figure out how people can still continue to connect with us in all ways, shapes, and forms. And we thought, why don't we put something together? You know, Paso, we're a little irreverent at best. and we know that we like to have our personality kind of shine. And so that's what these Zoom Hangouts are meant to be. It is not necessarily fully informative. We're not here to teach you anything or enlighten you into something. We're bringing you a few winemakers that are going to have a conversation, chat about what's happening right now in wine country, and just kind of keep in touch on what the haps are as far as everything. That's what this series is going to be pretty much about. For now, we're going to come in on Fridays. We might increase it to Wednesdays and Fridays, depending on popularity. We are going to record it because we figure maybe we can use this again in the future. And basically just have a glass of wine and have a good time. So yeah, speaking of which, that's what I'm having right now.
Thanks for the depletion, Chris.
You're welcome.
What are you having?
Considering you forgot to actually like pour your own wine and you're having something else.
Is that a
Luponic.
ginger? Oh, Luponic, nice.
They say takes a lot of beer to make good wine.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So we have on with us today Tyler Russell from Cordant, Nelle. Looks like we're live from the winery.
That's right, live from the winery in the tasting room.
Right on. Anthony Yount with Royal Nonesuch Farm, but also, which is where you are right now, but also with Denner Vineyards.
Hey guys.
And we have Russell from Herman Story Wines. Really good placement there, by the way, with your branding right behind.
Thank you. Thank you.
And what I'm hoping to do is kick it off, basically. I mean, we've all been kind of saying our hellos and all that, and we'll probably still digress into more of that kind of stuff. But really curious right now with everything that's going on. I mean, we're still making wine. We are an agricultural product. And so what that says is that wine can spoil or wine can go bad if it's not tended to on a near daily basis, or at least often, that things can go wrong. And so you guys are still reporting to work and everything else like that, or at least, well, you two are, but Anthony is, you know, he's on baby duty right now. So it's a little different for him right now. But I want to pose the question. What's happening in the cellar right now? We've got the 19s that are resting and maybe some bottling going on. What's happening with the 18s and just what's happening? I'll kick it to Tyler first.
Well, I mean, what's going on in the cellar is basically, like you said, we've got some basic maintenance going on, staying on top of the topping and whatnot, obviously, all the kind of things that we'd be doing regardless of what's happening in the world outside of here. And then, yeah, we're getting ready to bottle. We're going to bottle next month some Pinot Noir and just get ready for that. And just little things like that, keeping things clean. We moved a big chunk of our not a big chunk, but a little chunk of inventory over to keep stock, so we're not having to make trips to our storage facility a bunch, and we could just have a lot of stuff in house. So maintaining that and making sure it looks clean and nice, and for when visitors are finally ready to come back, everything looks clean and orderly, and trying to like keep the good habits in the cellar, even though we know no one's going to be here and we're not doing as much. Just getting out the broom, if you're leaning you should be cleaning mentality is still there, and just all that kind of good stuff, and really just not a whole lot trying to make in the cellar, trying to be business as usual, because that's what's important, is just keep going and maintaining things like you said.
How about you, Russell?
We're the same. We're keeping everything top, trying. Our toilets aren't as clean as they used to be, but they definitely.
That was always a bright spot at your place for me. How clean those toilets were.
Put the heater in there. I got the massage, the chill music, and it's hard to
Hard to want to leave.
Right. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy time right now. With you can't forget. It's really hard to strive for greatness in the wine when there's no customers coming, and it's the exact opposite. When the customers are packing it in here, my cellar staff's happy, everyone's got a cheery attitude, and we go strong. And with the lack of customers coming in, we have a few pickups here and there, and when the phone rings, we get excited. And but we're gonna chug along. We're gonna get to the other side, and if we don't protect the wines that we have here now, and we're doing ourselves an injustice. And we have, we're tasting more, a lot more tasting, because we have the time to.
Someone's got to taste.
Right, and you try to get creative with different kinds of marketing and trying to have a different pitch, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy. We all are feeling it, and we just got to keep going. But yeah, and what else? The vineyards. I was. Right now the vineyards are actually, it's pretty good time with bud break and them coming out of dormancy. It's the slowest time in the vineyard. It kind of gives us the vineyard to kind of figure out what they're going to do, and then the wineries figuring out what we're going to do. So yeah, that's about it. I'm trying to keep positive. That's number one. Come in with a happy, good attitude and smiles and jokes, and we had our pickup party here. Well, we were supposed to have our pickup party. We had about 600-700 people, and we had to cancel it like 3 days before. So I have all the meat that we were going to use for the pickup party in the freezer, and we've had tacos for about 30 straight days, and everyone's still happy with tacos. So we have lots of taco meat if anyone needs any. So making do.
We can find a home for that, I'm sure.
Right.
All the rain's been pretty good, right, you guys? I mean, what do Anthony, you're outside right now, and you're on your property. I mean, what are you seeing so far this year?
I just found a whole mess of chanterelles, so I'm pretty excited about that. I took the dog for a walk because he hadn't been out of the house for like 5 days, and stumbled upon a nice little pile. So I'm pretty excited there. We're going to do the vineyard this afternoon. It's been so wet. We haven't been up this week. Last week charged pretty hard with bud break coming out everywhere, but it's been wet and cold. So that's really kept things down. I was just going to comment on something Russell said about just how it's different without people coming by. For us, what we've seen is we've gotten so much more cellar work done because we're not getting pulled away. So we're actually like 2 or 3 weeks ahead of where I thought we'd be. We got the rest of our 18s blended. We got everything through Malo for 19 topped up, SO2'd, and normally that doesn't happen until middle of April. So it's been definitely a different time. I'm supposed to say hi to Ramona, our 4-year-old who's watching with grandma. So it's just a different feel in the cellar, but I feel like we've been actually more productive and more focused. It was also really fun blending this year because we're trying to do social distancing as a cellar team. And so everyone's tasting through the barrels on their own. And then we come back together and talk about them separately, as opposed to talking about the barrels, someone's weighing someone else's influence on it. So I think the wines are going to be different and unique because of the experience we're having right now and what that's affecting how we're working and how we're approaching blending in particular.
Right. I think we've also been on a string of great vintages, 17, 18, 19, and like 18, we're talking career vintage here. That's, I said it in 17, and I said it in 18, and 19 is pretty damn good too. And so it sucks that we have some of our best wines that we've released ever, and then this came along, because we were gloating in January saying, oh, it's 2020, the year of Herman's story, we got this shit, and then kaboom. And so now it's, but hey, it's always better to have great wine in bottle than not to have great wine in bottle. And to have another great year chasing the wines that you're releasing right now can only be a promising bright little light towards the end of the tunnel. So
what are you excited about right now from that 18, Russell? Like what specifically?
Well, normally I would tell you the current ones that are for sale here against the wall are the best ones. But no, there's, we make 14 different wines, and I would say more than half of them, it's 60, 70% are some of the best one representation of that wine. On the road is incredible. We had a little more time in barrel, and then, milk and honey, and all of them are just really, really stars. And, I'll tell people sometimes it's great when you have a great vintage in the barrel, or when you're releasing, and if you have a bad vintage following, that sucks. But we don't. We're in a streak of greatness, and as far as what Mother Nature's dealt us in the last 4 years. And so that is a bright side, that these wine that there's not a slouch. So, and I've tasted these guys' wines, and I think that they're probably can share the same sentiment on how great the vintages have been. So
it's been, right? We've been pretty lucky for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
part of why we do things where we do them, is that there is consistency here, and that's awesome. I mean, even on a challenging vintage, it's still fairly good by comparison to some other areas. And so it's not, I feel fortunate to make wine here every year, let alone the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, even in the drought years, they were challenging. Those wines turned out really good. They were a bit maybe hedonistic, but they were really good. And then, people talk about 2011 like it was a bad thing. It just took some time for those wines to develop. And once they did, they were absolutely gorgeous. And so we're so lucky to make wine in a Mediterranean climate. It's stupid.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt. Russell, you have property up in York Mountain along with Anthony. What's going on up there? Did you get a lot? Like, are you following your rain gauge, for instance?
Right. Yeah, we're up. We had like almost 4.5, 5 inches from the last kind of run of storms there, and everything's green. We haven't had any bud break yet, but all the vines we have are 20 years old, 22 years old now, and old vines are like old people. You don't want to mess with them too much. You don't want to cut their water. They like things done at certain times, all the time, and but they're not stupid enough to bud break before the first frost, so they're a little smarter than young vines. And so we haven't had any bud break yet, but it's really green, which is nice. And the rains have been kind of staggered to where you think, all right, this is it, and then they get a little more rain, and then it pushes the grass. So we've been doing a lot of weed control, but I haven't seen. We have a little vineyard here, Caltransia. It's 72 acres, 72 vines of Viognier, and it's down here in town, and it is, the shoots are way up, and there's already a couple clusters on each one. So it looks, if that anything with how the vintage is going to be, it's going to be a monster.
Oh,
so I'm joking. No one knows right now, but yeah, we don't have any bud break or nothing like that. We don't have any chanterelles either. I'm a little jealous. Maybe.
Well, you got to keep looking.
You're just over the hill though. One more hill closer to the ocean. I think.
I'd tell you where I found them, but it's against the code.
Oh man.
I see a taco meat chanterelle exchange happening.
Oh, now we're talking.
Yeah, I have a buddy who bought a place in Perfumo Canyon, and in the MLS it said, the first thing it said was chanterelles abound. And they are everywhere. They are all over the place. So we had chanterelle quesadillas the other day. We have had chanterelles with cream sauce and pasta. So, but I'll bet you the ones in York Mountain, are they small or are they big and waterlogged?
They're big.
They've been for a while? Yeah.
Big, yeah.
I've looked everywhere and I can't find them.
This is the first time in 2 years I've found them.
Okay.
So they're few and far between.
I got nothing better to do. I might as well get out there and look around.
That's right.
Are they under oaks or under pines?
Mostly under oaks is where we're finding them, and always with poison oak. But it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man.
Why? Because you're not allergic, or
What's that?
you're not allergic to the poison oak?
I'd usually shower afterwards, but this panel may cause me a little breakout.
And those aren't chanterelles. We all know it.
Exactly. So, Russell, we're going to miss your famous Easter egg hunt this year. You always have the best one up there at your vineyard.
Right. Well, we're doing a small one. Don't tell anybody. And all the eggs are 6 feet apart.
Perfect.
Just 73 of us know, so it's cool.
That's cool. That's right.
There
There's
you
enough
go.
space.
Yeah.
Right. It's crazy. Easter's here. Wow. So yeah, it's good up there though. But I've been working almost every single day because we just have so much stuff to do, and if I'm idle, it's tough. I like to get in here and work and try to do that. I'm sure you guys are getting a little cabin fever if you're not, I see some of my buddies on Netflix, and I'm like, well, I wish I could just sit and watch Netflix, but it's kind of nice being in here, doing all the work and getting in touch with the wines, like you were saying, that we've been more in touch with these wines than we have in the past, because there's always something going on, and now we can really focus on the wines, and soon the vineyard side. Really, it's going to get going.
Probably cooking a lot, right, you guys? I mean, you guys are with the whole staying at home and eating at home. I mean, with Easter coming up, what are you guys who's making what?
Russell, what are you making?
Yeah, what are you making, Russell? You always have a plan.
Tacos.
Tacos.
No, okay, so you'll have tacos. You'll have chanterelles.
I got a standing rack of lamb ribs we're gonna do. I'm gonna move in. The wind's getting a little gnarly.
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing. It's a crazy time. Normally I go up to my parents' house and we have ham and we do the traditional stuff, but maybe I'll just roast a chicken and stay at home. We're closed on Sundays for the first time in like forever. We started that last week just because we needed a day with our families, and
Yeah.
so that's kind of nice. We're
I'm
taking
gonna
Saturdays
roast
off.
chicken.
Hmm?
I'm gonna just do a whole chicken.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably
it's
what.
simple, easy, delicious.
Leftovers.
What's that?
You get to have leftovers. You get to make
Leftovers.
stock.
Get to make stuff.
risotto.
The whole thing, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, it didn't even occur to me it was Easter till we just said that a second ago.
Right, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean,
Been reminding you.
Easter's not on my top 5, I wouldn't say, anyways. So it is what it is. But
420's number 1.
21, Cinco de Mayo number 2, 'cause it's my birthday. Yeah.
You got a run coming up, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be a good couple weeks. Just
Really wanna-
alone on my deck, celebrating. It's gonna be great.
Once it's actually on Taco Tuesday, right?
Oh, is it? I don't even know. Yeah.
Molly Scott says she'll trade bread for chanterelles.
Molly, you're in.
Yeah. Freaking bread making. That's just been quite the phenomenon, huh?
Yeah, everybody's got their starters and all of that. It's all over Instagram. It's just,
Right.
Instagram.
making bread.
I made bread a bunch during the holidays because I took a couple weeks off and got bored, but I've since let my starter die and just stopped. Yeah.
Right. I'm not a bread
So-
guy. One
Yeah.
fermentation a year is fine.
Yeah, Hillary's a bread maker in our house.
No beer either. I'll leave it to the professionals.
Hell yeah on that.
Right. You know, I've tried to make beer and
It's not good.
I've tried to
Always
make
harvested
bread.
a brewery.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I'm reading up on some of the questions from some of our audience because it looks like we have some people asking some questions as well. I know we've digressed from the whole cellar thing, but I think we got that one across. You guys are just kind of sitting. Although Anthony, you never really actually said anything. You said you went in prior to us actually starting recently, getting some stuff done, but you've been out with the new baby and all. But what is happening for you?
Yeah, we had the baby early Tuesday morning, so I worked a little bit Monday, and then I've just kind of popped in. We bottled a little wine on Wednesday. Alex and Paul and Chewy on the cellar team at Denner took care of that, and then we're finishing mallows, doing our second round of topping. We just blended at the end of March the last of our 18s. Those will be the late bottlings in August. And then we're going to jump in, probably not next week, but the following week to start on our 19 blends. We typically do the Rhone blends for Denner first. And then we follow up like a year later and do the Bordeaux blends because they see a little bit more new oak. I want to see how that wood program works before we, as we're getting ready to buy barrels for the next vintage. I had a cellar question for Russell, though, because he makes this really cool wine. I don't know if you're making it every year, if it's a one-off thing, but your 412-day, 376-day, what's it called?
Well, we did 440, 426, 419, I think, and the extended age in tank. So
Yeah.
we put them in a big foudre, big thick foudre, and put the skins and we did about 30% whole cluster of all Grenache. And then we let it sit in there for 400 days, over 400 days. So the last grapes we would press every year were the grapes from the vintage before. And
so you top that up, and obviously you have then a diluted amount of grapes per juice ratio than a normal fermentation, right?
yes, because we still have that matter in there. But if that's what you're talking about, once we press it, we had dig it out. We have argon, and we used to keep the pressings, but now they get so beat up and oxidized from just the transport and digging them out. Even though we have argon like everywhere, trying to keep it off of there. But we did it 3 years. It's a young man's game, that blend, because my cellar staff, we worked our ass off all during harvest. And then at the end of harvest, we detail the press. Like it takes a whole day to get in there with a toothbrush and do all the shit. And then we go into this tank. And then we have to clean the press again because we're dealing with a finished wine. And after about 3 years of doing it, I was like, man, they're gonna be a mutiny. So we did it.
Have you considered 365 days? Because that might fix that problem.
Well, we landed one time on 409, but we found out that's copywritten and no one wants to drink 409. And then we came close to 420 and we didn't really want to do that. We did, but we didn't. We knew it was probably not a good business decision. But it's just a random day. It's usually when we're slowing down and we say, all right, we're going to take it out, because once it's in there, it's pretty sound. We used to do it in smaller barrels, like the ones behind me here, and the staves were so thin that the oxidation was really fast and the wine deteriorated. And so when we put it in the big wood tank, the skin or the tank was so thick that we had no oxidation, very little. And then we just treat it like a barrel. We punch it down and do all the things. It was a fun project, and
Yeah.
they're very old world in style. The skins actually suck the color back, so you would think you'd have this big dark monster, whereas really you have a wine that has more finesse and more old world characteristics. But
I find out with extended maceration, even if it's not 300 and some days, like just going a little bit longer, the tannins can refine a bit, and so that seems pretty typical. I actually remember the first time you did this, Russell. You were explaining it to me in my garage in San Luis Obispo, like this thing that you did where you took the head off a puncheon, did this fermentation, and rather than pressing out of it, you just put the head back in and topped it up, and you're going to see what happens. This was probably 2008, 2000, and we were
239 was the first one, and I think it was like 08.
Yeah.
We did it in little bottles.
Yeah.
And, I've done it a few times. I don't know. There's so many other things, you guys know how many experiments can you do? We did that one for 3 years, and I was like, all right, let's try something else. So
We did.
How often are you tasting it when it's still on the skins, and what kind of evolution do you see with that over that long of a period of time? I mean, most of us have done an extended maceration 60, 90 days, but nothing like that.
Right. We try to take, so the tank has a small opening. So when we do our sulfur add, we punch it down with the punch down device, and we try to get some of the air out, because there's a lot of air, like when you flip a canoe and there's a little air pocket underneath.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with this. Like we'll be sitting here in the cellar, and all of a sudden, boop, 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 and one of the air pockets is loose. Or when we punch it down and try to get some of the air out of there, and that might have lent to some of the oxidation issues we were having. But
It's like you're kneading it. It's like you're kneading it.
Right. And we would take out of the sample valve, we'd take out of the bottom, and then eventually we would press it. And then, like I said, we used to add the pressings back, and now or the last few times we didn't add it back because it was pretty austere, the real rough on the pressings over. And then we'd put it, when we did the 426 or the last two, we put it back into 228s, and half of them brand new. So we added a little more oak, and they're still tasting good though. We let them sit in the bottle for a year and a half before we released them to kind of let that rough edge get out from them and let them smooth out. But I'll get you some if you want to try them. Yeah.
Always a fun wine.
Yeah.
Like I said yesterday, I always borrow wine from you, meaning that you give me wine, Anthony. You give me wine, and then I never repay the favor. So I got a debt here. I'm going to start building some cases for you.
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
I
Cellar's
think-
getting a little lean.
All right. Perfect.
Pulling bottles.
Yeah. So I was making a joint. Oh. I was making a joint.
Rolling, I think, is the term you're looking for. Rolling, Russell.
We're rolling.
Yeah.
You were rolling.
Rolling. We're rolling. I was making a joke. I said, somebody goes, I gave him a bottle. I don't know, some truck driver. They were waiting for a while. I gave him a bottle of wine. I said, here, take it before the bank takes it. But
That got the computer a little excited.
Yeah.
No, it's fun. You know what? The other side of this whole thing is that I have a T-shirt that I have in the tasting room at Herman Story. We're a real business, and as much fun as we have, us small guys, we're much like a restaurant where we run with a large staff, and we don't have this nest egg of big money that we came into this with, and I surely can tell you that my business skills have been polished up through all this. You really have to be smart and really have to be focused. And I'm sure you guys are feeling the same kind of weight on your shoulders to make all this work. And I'm joking, the bank's not coming, but not yet. But but it's good to have these kind of moments. I've gone through a lot of that. I started in 01 when the economy wasn't very good, and I went through 08, and here we are again with another hiccup or another challenge to continue business. And I've been through a few, and I'm hoping to get through this one. Hopefully this thing gets gets out of our way and we can keep going, because I'm excited to get back in the tasting room and see the customers and everything. My poor dog Hanky, he has no idea what the hell hit him. He's like, "Where the hell are the customers? Did you put something on the internet? Did somebody find a picture somewhere?
Something
Where are
leaked.
all the customers?" You know, it sucks for a wine dog. And you think of all the things, like, every dog wants to be a wine dog, but poor Hanky, he's lonely. None customers to come in here and pet him or nothing.
Nobody to throw the ball for him, even though they're not supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the trickle down. So
Poor Hank. That's what
There's
this all
lots of
comes down to. Poor Hank.
There's
Poor
lots of
Hank.
winery dogs that are losing weight right now because they're not getting free treats from the visitors.
Right. Oh, we got a baby.
Oh, baby.
Oh my gosh. Is this his first appearance?
This is our
Loretta.
first appearance. I have the same pajamas, in case anyone was wondering.
What is your favorite dinosaur, Anthony?
My favorite, don't drop her. My favorite dinosaur is a Stegosaurus.
Oh, cool.
It's whatever Ramona wants it to be the day that we're playing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Like 3
right
days
on.
old, 4 days old.
Cheers to
4
you.
days old, right?
Right on.
It's gone so fast.
Today.
For that's the fastest 4 days of your life.
That's right.
That's wild.
Oh, look how much
Hospital.
hair, too. She was born with quite a bit of hair.
Don't be jealous, Chris.
Or Russell.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I said in the preview yesterday,
like,
we were trying to
going in
diet
for a
this thing.
snap.
It didn't work.
Did you dye it?
I tried.
I think you dyed it the wrong color.
It was
Yeah.
a light brown.
I'm glad I'm not taking
Use a Sharpie next time. Just
that would work.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Not a
Sharpie.
bad idea.
What can go wrong?
Fashion advice from Tyler. Perfect.
Obviously, look at me. I got paint on my shirt. That's not an accident.
It's a working man's look.
Yeah, I'm still working. Oh,
Right on, you guys. Well, shoot, we've been on, let's see, for about 30 minutes. We said we were going to do 20. You guys got anything else to share? Any other questions for each other? Do we have questions from our audience at all before we decide to wrap this thing up?
yeah, I mean, no questions for you guys. I pretty much already know what Russell's doing, and Anthony's has a baby. You're not doing anything in the cellar.
Right.
Like, what's going on in the cellar? I don't know. I just had a baby. That's what he's saying. That's crazy. How old are you, Anthony?
35
35?
last week.
Last week. Happy
Oh.
birthday.
Thank you.
Belated.
Oh,
Hang on.
happy birthday. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
44.
Looks like we're getting any questions from our audience here. Somebody says, tell us about Cordant Nelle.
Oh, what is it?
There we go.
Well, Cordant, 2 brands. Cordant is all Pinot Noir. Nelle is all Rhone varieties. I've been doing the Nelle brand since 2006, and here in Paso Robles, we make about 14 wines as well between the 2 brands. Tasting room and winery just outside of Tin City, which doesn't do anybody any good at the moment. But yeah, we just do our
Available online.
Available online, yeah. CordantWinery.com, NelleWinery.com. Yeah, pretty simple.
Right on. Why
Yeah.
don't we keep that trend going? And Anthony, I mean, there's Denner, but then there's also Royal Nonesuch Farm. Tell us.
Yeah, so Hillary, who just popped in to grab little baby Loretta there a minute ago, and I bought a piece of property up on York Mountain back in 2011 and started planting vines on it. We have we added a half an acre this year, so we have 7.5 acres. We make 1 wine. It's everything we grow up here. Hillary's a 4th generation California grape grower, so she runs that side of it, and I try and not fuck it up when I get the grapes to the cellar. So blending's super easy, and it is what it is.
Cool.
Yeah. Russell, tell us about the story.
Well, Herman's story started in 01. It's named after my grandfather, and I First name Herman, last name Story, and I make the wines right down between a tire shop and a welding gas supply place right downtown Paso. And like I said earlier, I made about 14 different wines, and I started with Rhone varieties and kind of started doing other things and Tempranillo and Cab blends and all that. But yeah, I've got Petite Syrah out now. That's a new wine, and yeah, you can also find them at hermanstorywines.com, or email us at thirsty@hermanstorywines.com.
Nice.
We can get you whatever you want.
Hey, Russell, we got somebody asking why you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Ah, interesting. Well, I lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania from about 1980 to about 86 on a farm in a little town called Zelienople. And I was there when the Steel Curtain and Bradshaw was there, and they were winning Super Bowls like the Patriots. And then I moved to Atlanta, and then I was in San Francisco when they were on their run with Joe Montana and everything else. So, but once you're a Steelers fan, you're always a Steelers fan. It's one of those, that it gets in your blood, and that's a real sports town. And yeah, so, but I'm wearing one. I was wanting to show my shirt off too, because I'm wearing one of my shirts. Paso Robles, it has that new winery smell. This is an original that we have here, and you can also get that at thirsty@hermanstorywines.com.
I got that shirt.
You got it, right?
Yeah.
I think I need one of those.
Very soft and comfy. Mine. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had another question. They're asking your favorite wines from your wineries. Now I know that's like asking who's your favorite child. So how about I mix it up and I say, how about you say your favorite wines from the other guys' wineries? Tyler, you go first.
Shit. My favorite wine from dinner. Well, the Royal Nonesuch, just the one blend. That's delicious. I love that one. Every chance.
That's very, very good.
That's a good wine. Yeah.
And from Herman's Story, my favorite wine is probably White Hawk is always so good. The Cab. I don't know. Have you released the Cab yet?
I haven't. That was another thing. June. That was coming out in June. I think we're going to do it July.
Yeah.
And,
well, I've been lucky enough to have a sneak peek of it. I'm not going to lie. It's delicious. Yeah. But my favorite one of mine is my Pinwheel, my white. I'm not afraid to mention what my favorite is.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right. I like all your wines. Both of you.
Oh.
So.
Get off the fence, Russell. Come on.
Hey. I think you guys are great guys and make great wines.
For Russell, I got to say the Shadow Canyon. I love that wine.
That is really good.
Yeah, Syrah Grenache. For Tyler, that Grenache off Wills Hill?
Yeah, Wills Hills.
That wine. That was just in Food and Wine I saw, man. That's awesome.
The Central Coast was in Food and Wine.
Okay.
Yeah, the Wills
Coast
Hills.
Coast View.
Coast View Syrah.
Coast View's good too.
Yeah, thank you,
That's
Russell.
a good one. And then the Mourvedre you make from way out in the middle of nowhere. I saw
Inns.
Old Vines. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty awesome one too.
I got to get some of that.
Come by and taste it 6 feet away.
Perfect.
Yeah, you need to get out of the house.
I'll bring that pork chop.
Now we're talking. Yeah.
All right, I think we got time for one last question here. We have somebody asking, Russell, One Hit Wonder was one of their all-time favorites. Any plans for making that again?
Well, One Hit Wonder, when you're buying fruit from a bunch of different places of which you don't own, we created that One Hit Wonder label because I would get grapes from a vineyard and I'd be like, oh man, this is the best. And then the vineyard would sell, or they would say, we're going to make wine. They'd make that decision. Not good. But and so if I only got it one time, I would call it a One Hit Wonder. And we've done the One Hit Wonder. Well, back in the day, it was from Jesperson, which is now a Niner property, and we get fruit from there again. And so there was a time there when that vineyard was for sale and we didn't get any fruit from it anymore. And it was a great site. And so it still is a great site, and they're doing great things over there. I got some last year and it was very, very good. And then we did a Mourvedre. We've never done a Mourvedre, and I think that was like 07 where we did a Mourvedre wine. And I don't know if I like that the label is always an old Winnebago or an old trailer that we find dilapidated somewhere, and it's just kind of a little more of what do you call it? It's abstract label, and so we'll probably have another one in the queue eventually. But we want to make a York Mountain Syrah because we have Shadow Canyon, and then we have Syrah at Shell, our vineyard, and then we got a little tiny bit from Epic, but that York Mountain is a primo underrated little area. Not to tell the world. I know that's our little secret, Anthony, but
It's all right. There's only 62 people left.
okay, perfect.
We'll be all right.
Whoa, hey.
Oh.
He's on the floor.
That's not me.
Where'd you go?
Is there a wine glass on your ceiling?
Oh shit. No. No. There we go.
You need a new computer. It's not supposed to do that.
Well, it's leaning up against a Desperado, but my wife set me up on this computer thing. Well, now you can see it way up. Look. I had a great, and I don't know if I can do it. No. I had a great backdrop on my thing, and I don't know how to. Oh, virtual background. This was my backdrop. I couldn't figure out how to do it without having my face kind of floating around. But anyway, there you go.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I was late getting to the meeting. I was trying to create that.
Always on. Always.
Oh, that's fantastic, Russell.
Man, when it wouldn't work, I was like, damn. So anyway, I don't have that much toilet paper. What's with the toilet paper thing? Anybody? Can we answer that question?
Well, Russell, I think I have a background for you.
What do we
Who's
got?
that behind you?
Hey, Chris.
Oh, my younger years.
Oh man, we found that somewhere and
I'm glad
had to bring that one up.
I'm glad that's all you found. You dig around.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Looks like we're down to 56 or so, 54. They're dropping off rapidly. Thank you so much. Catch us again. Watch PasoWine.com. Watch our our Instagram feed, our Facebook feed. Watch these guys and see what they're going to be posting. We recorded this, so we are going to try to post it up there for other people to watch. So share that with your friends. But thank you very much. We will be back next Friday. 3 o'clock right now is what we're thinking. We might change that time ever slightly. We'll just see. Again, thank you, everyone. And Tyler, Anthony, Russell, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Chris.
And
Thanks for having us. Yeah, that was great. Good to see you guys.
Yeah,
Good to
likewise.
see you.
Yeah, have a good Easter. And we'll-
Have a freaking
Buying
Easter.
some eggs.
Find some eggs.
I'll trade
Tomorrow.
eggs for chanterelles, that's for sure. I got plenty of fresh eggs.
Oh, all right.
I'm not going to end up with any of these chanterelles.
I just want a gate code. I'll find my own chanterelles.
It's top secret.
Cool, guys. All right.
All right,
All right,
boys. We'll
thanks.
see you.
Bye, guys.
Later,
Take
guys.
care. Bye-bye.